Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting video where I'm going to be going over 3 new hot arena teams that have been really taking over the higher ranks. And let's get right underway with it. So we're going to be looking at the first team is the one that has helped me reach the Grandmaster rank the quickest. Now, the benefit to some of these teams is that you generally don't need to have these cookies very high ascended. You literally just need them for the most part. Now, of course, the more ascended and awakened you have them, the better. But it's just in a sense where if you can properly build these cookies, you'll go far. So looking at the first team, we got Elder Fairy in the front, Golden Cheese Awakened, Shadow Milk, Wind Archer, and Pure Vanilla Awakened. Now for the treasures, we've got the Holly Berry and Royal Necklace, the Vial of Raging Dunes, and the Sleepy Hedge Jelly Watch. Now the reason why we're using the Holly Berry and Royal Necklace is because this team is built around having high HP and keeping an HP shield on the team and keeping them alive. Elder Fairy and Pure Vanilla both heavily benefit from increased HP, alongside Pure Vanilla's leader ability, Warmth of Compassion, which gives him max HP to the team. It's really an interesting comp that I've been enjoying because usually it's just been a matter of damage resist and damage, but just the same toppings. But this is nice. So looking at the team, we've got Elder Fairy in the front with Swift Chocolate cooldown, and also as an alternative, we have peanut toppings. Now, I have seen people use peanut toppings to increase his max HP, and if that works out for you, great. For when it comes to those, you want to have at least 8% cooldown and as much HP and damage resist on there as possible. But I use Swift Chocolate. With the Swift Chocolate, you want to focus on cooldown and damage resist. Now, when it comes to the beascuit, you need 2 HP substats. The reason being is that Elder Fairy's skill is optimized, built around that. So if you have 2 HP substats on the beascuit, it'll give him more prism shards to give to the team to keep them alive and heal them. Now, for the other 2, you want damage resist or cooldown, but I would go with damage resist. So now, we got our favorite villain, Shadow Milk Cookie. What you're going to want to do for him, I've seen 2 builds, but I primarily like this one. I've seen Swift Chocolate, but I go with the Raspberry. So with the Raspberry, you just want as much attack and damage resist and cooldown. Those are your 3 primary ones. Damage resist, attack, cooldown. At least 8% cooldown. If you can get to 20% damage resist, great. The higher, the better. But attack, you also just want to try to get to around that 50%. I didn't get to around 50% because my substats are more damage resist and cooldown focused, but just something to keep in mind. Now, for the beascuit, it's just going to be one thing. Damage resist bypass. Damage resist bypass all day. The more bypass you can get on Shadow Milk Cookie, the better. So, to repeat all that, try to go for 20% damage resist, at least 8% cooldown, and the higher the attack, the better. Now for Golden Cheese, it's going to be a very similar build actually. So I have Raspberry set on her, and then as you can see here, literally 20% damage resist, 8% cooldown, and I did manage to get the 50% attack on Golden Cheese. Now, when it comes to her beascuit, it's going to be the same as Shadow Milk. You're going to want as much damage resist bypass as possible. As you guys can see here, I've got more damage resist than damage resist bypass. That's because I was unlucky with my beascuit, but it's very useful nonetheless to have Golden Cheese stay alive. So bypass is better, but if you have to go for an alternative, try to get damage resist on there. And now Pure Vanilla. Pure Vanilla, everyone's favorite, my favorite, I love them. Pure Vanilla, I've seen 2 primarily. I've seen the full almond, and I've seen a mixture of almond with 3 raspberry. Now, the reason being is because you need to keep Pure Vanilla alive. There is no other way about it. He needs to live. If he goes down, your entire team will go down. The more damage resist you can get on this guy, the better. I have him on 64%. And honestly, if I could get him more, I would. So what you really want to focus on is 2 things. For the toppings, damage resist, HP, and cooldown. For the beascuit, cooldown and damage resist. Now, the reason being is you want to get that HP high, and you want to be able to keep him alive and use his skill often. Now for Wind Archer. Wind Archer is going to be, believe it or not, very similar to Shadow Milk and Golden Cheese. This team is quite literally Elder Fairy blocks, Pure Vanilla heals, the other 3 deal damage. So with his ability, what you're going to want to look for on Wind Archer is at least 20% damage resist. Now, if you can get cooldown on there, that'd be better. But Wind Archer has a little bit of a variance compared to the other 2, that he can actually also benefit from a bit of attack speed and also high attack. So for the toppings, you just want to try to get that damage resist, cooldown, and attack, possibly some attack speed, but then beascuit, all damage resist bypass. The more the merrier. And if you can't get all damage resist bypass, try to throw some attack speed or damage resist on there to kind of a buffer around the edges. So that's the first team. Now the next two teams are very similar but slightly different. Now this team is actually using Stormbringer as opposed to Wind Archer. It has Stormbringer up front. This helps keep some of the damage off the entire team as well as stunning. Now I recommend this team. Again, this is a 2-2-1 team. I recommend the 2-2-1 against 2-1-2s. Generally, some builds you'll find a counter other specific comps. So see what works, amongst these comps. I've tried them out myself, and it's got me to Grandmaster. But then you start hitting some tready ground. So experiment around, see what works for you. So Stormbringer, you're going to want to focus on as much up to 80% crit. I got her up to 77, but up to 80% crit, which is where it maxes out for her. And then you're going to want to go as much damage resist bypass as possible as well. Now, as you can see, this really isn't the most ideal beascuit for her. It has electric damage, which is nice, and a little bit of cooldown, but damage resist bypass is what you want to focus on more. This is a backup team for me that I use for when I want to counter. Elder Fairy, it's basically going to be the same thing. I use the peanut build for this one, but I sometimes switch over to Swift Chocolate depending on how I see the results going. And then the other three are the exact same as before. Swift Chocolate, damage and damage resist bypass. Golden Cheese, damage resist bypass, and Pure Vanilla, damage resist and healing. The same treasures as well. Now the third team is a bit more interesting. I have gotten smoked by this team, which is why I needed to make a team for it. It is the first team, but instead of Elder Fairy, it is Crimson Coral Cookie. Now for Crimson Coral Cookie, you are going to focus on as much damage resist as possible. She is a very good tank if she's by herself. So all damage resist for the beascuit, literally all damage resist. Try to get her to 8% cooldown if possible, but do not go for that over picking damage resist. So those three teams are really the ones that have carried me in the arena. Now let's see how these go. For example, this is a Grandmaster 1 team, 1-2-2. I bet this is the exact same team that I currently have. Let's see. I'm gonna lose probably, but I just want to show you guys that this team is the real deal. Told you. Let's speed this up a little. I don't want to see my butt get kicked in one time. Oh man. Oh, this guy's number 2. This guy's number 2. But this is where that whale status helps out. But as hard as it is to see visually what's going on, as you guys can see, Elder Fairy is really serving as that tank role while Pure Vanilla keeps the team alive. But this guy's damage was too much to beat out. It was just too much. Alright, so that's that. Let's go ahead and that. Defeat, who could have guessed? So let's look at these stats though. As you can see, his Pure Vanilla staying alive was the big difference maker there. My Shadow Milk even did more damage than his. My Wind Archer did more damage than his. So that really shows how powerful Pure Vanilla Awaken can be. He has him maxed out. I can't do much about that. But triple the healing. That is the sole reason he won. Number 2, did everything worse except the healing. So now let's fight against somebody who's a bit more my speed. So this is an interesting comp as well. I've seen this one where people use the insignia of the Indomitable Knights over the Holobarian Royal Necklace. But this is another 1-2-2. Same team most likely, both a different treasure. Let's see how it goes. This is actually the Crimson Coral comp. I'm interested now. Let's see. There's that 1 minute damage push. As you can see, it seems I came out on top of that. But I don't want to jinx it. I may have just jinxed it. I just jinxed it. Wait, no. I'm good. I believe. This is where the insignia comes into play. This is where insignia comes in. And that's how the game goes. So a very close fight, but in the end, it's the little things that separate most people in the higher ranks. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the video, and I hope these teams can help you out. If you guys have any questions, just leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to help you out. And guys, until the next video, I'll see you then.